Hey guys, welcome back to Jess and Reads Romance. I'm Jess and today I'm here with another weekly wrap-up, but before we dive into that, I do want to give a shout out to Zenf Optical because they were kind enough to contact me and send me some glasses. If you've been on my channel for any amount of time, you might notice that I'm a little bit of a glasses collector. I love to collect different styles of eyeglasses. I like to change them out for my videos and I get like obsessed with a pair for a little while, but then I like want to change it up. Anyway, they were kind enough to send me some pairs of eyeglasses and also some prescription sunglasses, which I freaking love. There were so many styles to choose from and I settled on two, so I can't wait to unbox them and show you what they look like. So I just got these in yesterday. There are three pairs. One is eyeglasses and two are prescription sunglasses. I don't know which one is which, but we're going to go ahead and open them up and I'll try them on for you. So they come in this little case right here and it slides out. So they come with a little microfiber cloth, and I think this is one of the sunglasses actually. Yes, it is. Oh my god. Okay, I am going to link all of these styles down below just in case you want to go check them out for yourself, but these are the Rhea sunglasses. Look how cool they look. Oh, I can't see now. So I'm going to show you up close. I freaking love these glasses so much. I love the little gold details and I thought that the shape of the glasses themselves were really fun. So let's see how they look on me. Oh my god, I love them. I'm going on vacation soon, so I will definitely be taking these with me and the other pair of sunglasses. These are so fun. I love, and I believe that these actually come in the regular glasses style as well. So if you don't want prescription sunglasses, these do come in the regular glasses style. Oh, I love them. Okay, next style. Oh, this is the other pair of sunglasses. So these are the Aphrodite sunglasses. You can see right here, I am pretty basic and I like the same shape in my eyeglasses, and these have a nice little tortoiseshell detail around the rims. And I love them. Oh, these are so perfect. It sounds so weird to say I have been a glasses wearer for quite a few years now, but I was mainly a contact wearer for like ever, but I only recently got prescription sunglasses. So honestly, I was just suffering while I was driving, while it was sunny. I live in Louisiana, so there's tons of sun. I don't even know why I waited this long to get prescription sunglasses, but I'm so glad that I have these beautiful pairs. Okay, so the last pair has got to be the glasses, and I will be wearing them for the duration of this video. I'm so excited. I don't have anything quite like this one. I think I might have close to like 10 pairs of eyeglasses, so it's not like I needed more, but who are we kidding? So these are the feline glasses, and you can see up top on the metal detailing, they have a slight like cheetah print, a slight leopard print up there, and I thought that that was such a cool little detail. And oh, these are so much fun. I love these so much. It's just like very subtle, and I like the way that the light refracts on them, and they don't have like a metal rim or anything right here. Oh, these are very comfortable though. I like these a lot. These are so fun. Again, I will be including all the styles linked in the description box below if you want to go check those out for yourself, and I'll be including my custom discount code if you want to get a little percentage off for your first order. And I'm just very happy with the ones that they sent me. I'm glad that I picked such fun glasses, something new to wear in my videos, and I'm so happy to have some really great sunglasses to bring with me on vacation next week. All right, let's get to the books. The first book that I read this week was Knox by Tasha Black. This is a sci-fi romance. It's only like a little novella length romance, which I really did appreciate, and it's like a fun and quick, easy read. I was just feeling something completely different. I was still clawing my way out of the book slump, and I thought, let's shake it up with a sci-fi alien romance. I love alien romances. So this is the first book in the Alien Adoption series, and human women, a lot of them come from very tough situations. They're pretty poor. Like the earth as we know it is just not a great place. Resources aren't plentiful. This is many years into the future, and now there's aliens, and there are an alien race that they're trying to bring back, and so they have these kind of like reborn aliens as babies, and they need caretakers, and so you can sign up to be an adoptive mother in this world. So there's these three girls, and they're on a spaceship to go to this new world that is almost uninhabitable, and that's like the risk that you take. It's like, yes, you get a free place to live, you'll be provided with, you know, basic needs and everything like that, which is a great transition for the heroine Luna, who comes from really nothing. She's scrounged and scraped for everything that she's ever had, and she grew up very poor. And so this is kind of a dream come true. She doesn't have any family. That's why she wants to adopt a child, because she's just like, I can make my own unit and I can be happy and will survive on this new world. Now, these babies do come with protectors because this world, like I said, is uninhabitable. The sun sets twice per day, and so they have 6 hours of daylight, and then they have your nighttime shenanigans that go on this planet, which is crazy. Basically, all the creatures come out during nighttime. And so Knox is like this alien warrior, and he's kind of a shifter as well. He has like a dragon inside of him, and he has connected to this baby. And it's really funny because it's kind of a Grumpy Sunshine situation where Knox is just like, I don't want to be on protection detail for this baby. I don't even like this baby, even though you can totally tell that he is so attached to Soul. He's already named him, but he doesn't want to admit it to himself that he is attached to this baby. And then he sees this human woman who's dressed in like this kind of slutty gown that they were all required to wear. He's just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm gonna have to drop off this baby with this woman, but it's not my business. I want to get off here. I'm a soldier. I'm not a babysitter. He sets them up in this tree house, and it's really funny because the baby actually wants him. It wants Knox because it's bonded to Knox, and he doesn't really know Luna. So Luna's a little bit upset about that, and I love how Knox feels like he's going to be like the protector. He's going to show her all the equipment, the advanced equipment to use and stuff like that. But since Luna was so resourceful on Earth and she had to kind of tinker and scrape, she's a really good mechanic. She likes to fiddle with electronics, and when they have like trouble doing like this kind of satellite stuff, he's struggling with all the wires and disconnecting them, and she's like, how about you take the baby and I'll work on all the electrical stuff. So it's kind of like role reversal, where Knox, this big badass soldier, becomes this caretaker while the baby is getting used to his new adoptive mother, and she's the one kind of setting up all the stuff that Knox is supposed to be setting up. So I really did like this. Like I said, this was a very quick read, and so the romance escalated kind of quickly. There was some instant attraction with them. There's kind of a side plot with the natives of this planet where there was this displacement because of some natural disaster that happened. And currently the caves that they are temporarily occupying are being like attacked and stuff, and so they want Knox to help because he is this renowned warrior, but he has vowed to only like protect his own like race and planet only if his planet is under attack. They don't like go on the offensive. They're not like conquerors and stuff like that, and so he kind of initially refuses. But I like the setup of this world because you can tell like the next book will be about the 2 other women that were on the ship. I'm very excited to continue with the series, and they're short and sweet. I gave this book 4 stars. The next book that I'm going to talk about is Alessio. Now this is, I read the first book in this duet, Corrado, for the Mafia Romance Readathon at the beginning of June. And this is an MMF Mafia romance. Corrado and Alessio met when they were younger, and they were kind of training to be assassins. There's this like league of assassins in this mafia world, and they started up a relationship. And it wasn't until later that Corrado gets tapped to kind of be a bodyguard to this other mafia sort of princess. She's a little bit in danger, and so Corrado can't tell anybody that he's guarding her, and he's just supposed to take her to a safe place, and he takes her to his house, and Alessio is away on like another mission or whatever. So this is the continuation of their story. I'm going to talk about a couple things that happen in this book, so if you haven't read Corrado, this is going to be spoilers for Corrado, so I'll just pop up the spoilers right here. The way that it ended, I was very upset with Corrado at the end of Corrado because he was very much lying to Alessio. He had opportunity to tell Alessio that he was kind of falling for Jenny. Alessio had to find out that Corrado was very much interested in Jenny beyond their agreement, because Alessio and Corrado had a deal. No other men. That was a hard limit for Alessio. And Alessio is also the one that wants a full-blown relationship, wants it to be out in the open, and Corrado was hesitant, but he decides, Alessio, that he's going to compromise because he wants any piece of Corrado that he can have. He's willing to compromise. He's willing to be a little bit hurt inside because Corrado's not ready. So I'm automatically more on side Alessio, my big sweet baby. I love him so much. Corrado is taking Jenny, who is not supposed to tell anybody about, to his family's house. So there's a stipulation that he can't tell anybody that he's guarding Jenny. We can't let anybody know that Jenny's here. But yet he takes Jenny to his family's house. Does it make sense to you? It didn't make sense to me, and I was very mad about that. I was like, you knew you were doing wrong. You were hiding your growing feelings for Jenny and the fact that you wanted to sleep with her, because women were okay as long as there aren't feelings involved. Now that whole premise, that whole idea about sex not meaning much unless it's with them, carries on into Alessio, and I'm not sure that I loved it because that was one of Corrado's excuses to Ginny, like, oh, we can sleep together because sex doesn't mean anything to Alessio. And I'm like, but the fact that you have feelings for her makes this a different type of intimacy. It's not just sex anymore. So I don't agree with what Corrado was doing in Alessio either, because he was just like, sex is fine. I'm like, no, but you're connecting more on a deeper emotional level because you already have feelings with Ginny. So it makes the sex wrong. But like Corrado's like, oh no, this is fine. Alessio is kind of forced into bending to Corrado's will. That Corrado does not want to give up Ginny, but he also doesn't want to give up Alessio. And now all of a sudden Corrado's like, oh yeah, it's fine. I can tell you I love you now after 5 years together. And I never told you before, but at the risk of losing you, okay, I'll tell you I love you. So I was aggravated with Corrado. But my favorite scenes, and I did kind of say this in my review for Corrado, that I was just like so fed up with Corrado's attitude and the way that he handled these two people. Ginny, she wasn't in the wrong. She had absolutely no idea that Corrado has been in a long-term relationship with Alessio. She had no idea that she was the other woman, so I don't blame her. And at the end of Corrado, I said I would love for Alessio and Ginny to run away together. And it'd just be them because Corrado doesn't deserve shit. And I was really mad at him. It works in Corrado's favor though, because Alessio starts hanging out with Ginny and they actually have a lot more in common. Alessio and Ginny do. They both love poetry, they both love reading, and they bond so much for that, and I love it so much. There was still a lot of frustration, and it was still a long road to them all being okay. So as a duet as a whole, I didn't love the series. I wish that it was a little bit more compact, and I wish we got to see them together a little bit more. I for sure loved Alessio much more than Corrado because we actually get the MMF in Alessio. We don't get any MMF in Corrado at all, and that's what I was here for. That's the whole reason why I picked up this duet, folks. So this automatically gets a 4-star for me. I thought that it was much better than Corrado, but I just wanted a little bit more. I wanted a little bit more MMF. I wanted the conflict to be wrapped up a little bit sooner, and I kind of wanted Corrado to suffer a little bit more, and he didn't. He just got to have his cake and eat it too. He's my least favorite character in all this, can you tell? Then I read another alien romance, Saving Escara by J.M. Link. I saw this book suggested to me probably after I read Knox. I saw it and I was like, yeah, that looks good. I love the cover. It's gorgeous. Now, I didn't know when I picked up this first book that this is also a duet. This is a duet. So this couple does not have an HEA resolution at the end of this book. It's still kind of ongoing. And I did read the second book, so I'll be reviewing that one too. But the heroine's name is Victoria and the hero's name is Adarus. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but Victoria is human, and recently it has been discovered that there is alien life. And like, I'm talking like microscopic alien life on other planets. Then all of a sudden, these aliens have made contact with this orbiting space station that I'm pretty sure is specific to like science and military and stuff like that. They made contact and Victoria is working on that space shuttle, and she gets called in because they have some aliens that are hurt and they need like a doctor, and they're like, oh, well, we need to show that we have goodwill with these aliens and put our best foot forward, so here's our doctor. She may be able to help. The aliens look like demons and they've kind of embraced that fact and adopted like names that are easy for humans to pronounce and stuff like that. And the whole thing about Adarus's alien race, they do not do physical touch because their females are so much more aggressive than they are. They are more fierce. And so when Victoria just like easy with like the handshakes and everything, the eye contact, they're kind of put off by Victoria. But she also just exudes this very trusting nature, and I really like that. So she gets on their alien ship. They go through this decontamination process where Victoria feels like creepy crawlies are like in her blood. And so she automatically reaches for Adarus to hold on to him, and she's like, I'm sorry. And he's like very uncomfortable, but he also feels like this strange sense of like, this is kind of nice. He's always looking at Victoria like she's about to like blow up on him and like attack him, because that's what their females do. They attack when they want to breed, and then they're done. And then they have like their baby and they're like, get away from me. So he doesn't know anything about Earth. He doesn't know anything about humans. And he's very surprised when he sees Victoria. She's like so small and tiny compared to their men. And so it's very like a culture clash type of thing. And it's very gradual. It's very gradual because we find out that Adarus's home planet is under attack and they need help. And the first contact that they've made is with humans, and they have this like element that they need to repair all their ships, and so that's why they need to make an alliance with the humans Victoria's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because she wants to help them. She's very sympathetic towards the aliens, and she also has like these military personnel who are telling her basically spy on them, see what we're working with, and I can't really get a feel on whether or not it's just you're covering your own ass because you don't know. Are these aliens supposed to attack you? Are they friendly? Are they truly friendly? I don't know if they're basically bad. I can't tell what the intentions for the military are in terms of their relationship with the aliens, if they really want to form an alliance or what. I have no idea. But the aliens definitely have advanced technology that they're extremely interested in. And I just love how Victoria, they do accept her and they give her this technology that it's like attached to her neck, and it basically provides like a suit of armor that's very pliable and form-fitting and stuff like that, and it's a protective suit, but it also like amps up her own strength and abilities, so it makes her less vulnerable. And of course the military wants to study that. The suit is having none of that. It's like, get away from me. And I love the gradual romance between Victoria and Atticus, because with the whole touch thing, he's unused to feeling pleasure while being touched. That's basically the whole premise of this book. Starting up a relationship, not letting anybody know. And it continues on with the second book. The second book is called Chasing Earth. Like I said, it's a continuation of their story. There are weird alien, genitalia in this one. It's very, very interesting. You kind of expect that in alien romances and stuff. And so I gave the first book 4 stars because I was extremely intrigued. I thought that it was a very different type of alien romance, especially since it was like set not on Earth, but near Earth instead of a different alien planet. And it was like initial contact. So that was really fun. But the second book I only gave 3.5 stars because I felt like it was such a long road to their like HEA. But it was hard for Atticus to like open up about his feelings because he was very unused to all this. And Victoria was also afraid of what she was feeling for him and stuff like that. So it was just like a very complicated situation. I didn't think it needed to be 2 books. I think 1 book could have done it well. Next is Once Burned by Janine Frost, and this was the book that officially broke me out of my reading slump. I needed to go back to a tried and true author because I love the Night Huntress series by Janine Frost. I love Cat and Bones. They're one of my favorite couples in paranormal romance, and Vlad is a side character. Yes, the Vlad, Dracula, is a side character in the Night Huntress series. So now that I'm done with the Night Huntress series, I always plan on starting the Night Hunter series with Vlad. And I'm so glad that I decided to pick it up because I was just like, oh God, this is so great. So I listened to this book on audio. The audio was really fun. And I love the heroine for this one. Layla is part of the circus. She had an accident whenever she was younger, and she touched a power line and it like scarred her, and her mom ended up by dying. And a side effect of that is that she has this like energy, so she can't touch other people without doing them serious bodily harm or killing them. She also can touch objects that belong to people and see like the past, kind of the present, and the future. It's a very interesting situation. She gets kidnapped by these vampires and they want her to find this certain guy, and they're like, touch all these things, and they belong to people that Vlad has killed. So she's like, oh my God, this vampire wields fire, are you crazy? And she links to him in the present day to see what he's doing. And he he sees her, he senses her. She's like, that has never happened to me before. Nobody has ever actually sensed me spying on them. And so she decides to use it to her advantage, and Vlad actually comes save her. So Layla kind of becomes Vlad's captive after this whole situation. And there's much more that goes into the plot of this story, but I really love the relationship between Vlad and Layla a lot. It was very hot in typical Janine Frost fashion, and I just loved exploring Vlad. He did feel a little bit different from how he was written in the Night Huntress series, I will say, but I still really enjoyed the story, so I gave this book 4.5 stars. It's very fun, very cool paranormal world. Next, I picked up Taming His Teacher by Tamsin Parker. Now, I did see that Tiffany was reading this, and if you're not already following Tiffany, it's Neverland Pixie. She does these updates on her Instagram story, and I just love it so much because she gets so hyped about romances. I love the way she talks about them. They get me so excited to read them. And this is one of those cases because it's a student-teacher romance and there's an age gap, and I love all that type of taboo stuff. So I picked up this book, Taming His Teacher, and actually it's not really a student-teacher romance because they're only student and teacher for like a very short portion of this book. Erin is our heroine. She's kind of like a legacy teacher over there because her grandfather was like a teacher over there, possibly the principal. Her uncle is like the principal or headmaster, whatever they call him. And so she has just graduated college. She wants to go into teaching and she automatically gets hired. They're kind of known, this boarding school for boys is kind of known for hiring former students. And though Erin didn't go to this obviously all boys school, she visited so often because of her like legacy title and stuff like that. She was always with her grandfather, so she's very familiar with a lot of the teachers that are already there. So she was kind of a shoo-in. She is not a heroine that I absolutely love because she's very self-conscious. She has very low self-esteem. She very much wants to be loved. She kind of feels a need to have like that affirmation, people to like assure her that she's pretty because she just feels like very average, very normal. And so when one of the other teachers, Will, I already had a bad vibe from him, approaches her and says all these very cliche things, she is taken with him. She is just like, oh my God, really? Like twirling her hair and just like, oh my God. And we see that he's a creep. And I don't really love that about Erin. It just makes me think a little bit less of her because the guy, Will, the fellow teacher, was such a creep that I was like, it's so obvious. I can't believe you can't see it. Like if he was more subtle about it, I would have been on board with Erin, but that really kind of ruined her character for me. Then we have the hero, Shep, and he actually had a scholarship to come to this boarding school. He comes from a blue collar working family and his dad is very abusive. He drinks a lot. And he has a younger brother and he's hoping that this boarding school will give him opportunities. He can get scholarships to college and hopefully help his brother also kind of escape the abuse of their dad. So I love Shep. And the hilarious thing about this, the irony, it's an age gap, but it's only 4 years. Shep is 18 years old when the book does start. You can already tell that Shep, just his life experience and his outlook on life, he is so much more mature than Erin. He's 18, she's 22, and he's just like the mature party in this relationship. He just is. So they have a slight moment after he graduates because Erin's going through some stuff with Will. And then he goes off to college and then there's a time jump, 3 years. And then he comes back and he's a teacher. So it's truly kind of like a coworker romance. And kind of like you were my former student, I taught you just for like a little while, not very long at all. And so it wasn't really that taboo. I was expecting a little bit more. There were some slight BDSM elements going on there because Shep is a dom and she's naturally a submissive. But I don't know, it just did not work for me. Anyway, I gave this book 3 stars. It was okay, it was fine, it wasn't great. Then I read Twice Tempted, which is the second book in the Night Hunter series, and it's a continuation of Layla and Vlad's story. I'm not sure how many books are actually in Vlad's series, so it's always going to be about Layla and Vlad and some other paranormal plot, but their relationship kind of continues because they are in a relationship. It's not very defined. Vlad hasn't really said that he's loved her, so he's not a very open character. He doesn't want to talk about his feelings. Well, there was kind of this supposed proposal going wrong in this book. Vlad invites all their friends to this dinner and he gets all dressed up and he puts a ring box in front of Layla and Layla was like, oh my God, he's proposing. But she was just lamenting that he hasn't said I love you yet. And I totally understand, like, Vlad, you're so dense. You don't just bring out a ring box and think that the girl is not going to assume that there's an engagement ring in there. Well, no, he was kind of just offering Layla immortality. Like, hey, I feel like I can turn you into a vampire and I'm offering you that immortality. And she's very upset because she wants a commitment from Vlad. So this kind of like pushes Layla and Vlad apart because Vlad's just like, that's not what I was offering you. I told you from the beginning that I can't really give you love. It's not really in me. And so Layla's very upset. So she's just like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. And you can't stop me. And he's already told her, like, I won't stop you if you want to truly leave. So he does. He's true to his word. And he lets her go. And he's kind of upset with her about it. I very much felt that the character of Vlad was a totally different character in this book for some reason. He just did not behave in a way that reminded me of the character of Vlad in the Night Hunter series. I don't know, I was just having a weird feeling about the way that Vlad was written in this book. And Layla was exhibiting signs of like a TSTL heroine. This girl, she just makes assumptions and she's kind of a little bit reckless. And Vlad's just like, you can't do that type of thing. You're putting yourself in danger and others in danger. And I can't believe you believed that this person, what they said was true. It was just a whole mess kind of thing. I still enjoyed a lot of it, but there was just something that wasn't quite there. It wasn't quite there for me like the Night Huntress series was. I was hoping that it would get better and we would get more into Vlad's character, but it was just a weird thing that happened to his character in this book, and I didn't love the way that their relationship developed in Twice Tempted. It felt very juvenile. So I gave this book like, I think I rounded up to a 4-star, but it's like 3.75. It's not quite a 4-star, but it wasn't horrible because there were still very enjoyable things. I do like Janine Frost's writing in general, but like, I don't know. Some of the dialogue was just not working for me. Then I picked up The Savage and the Swan by Ella Fields. Not read anything else by this author. This might be a writing duo. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, I saw The Savage and the Swan. The cover absolutely pulled me in, and I heard that it was supposed to be like a Hades and Persephone, the Swan Princess, and a Rumpelstiltskin, all kind of like jumbled all into one. So I was extremely hyped, and I put it on my July TBR list. So the second that this book released, I snapped it up on Kindle Unlimited, and Crystal had been reading an arc. So she was just telling me some things about the book, not spoilery at all. And she was like, I would love to know your opinion on this. I started reading, and the first thing that I noticed was this is a fantasy world. I didn't love the way that the world building was happening. Often in fantasy romances, it takes a little while to get into the story enough to where like the world feels fleshed out and you feel like you understand what's going on, the dynamics. Unfortunately, it wasn't just the world building elements that weren't working for me. It was like the writing style. And I described it to Crystal as, I feel like I'm reading a sentence that just drops off midway and it's never finished. That's how I felt like the scenes were unfolding in the story. Something would get started and it was like, oh, this is going somewhere, and then it went nowhere. It went nowhere. There's a scene where the heroine, who is a princess of the Fae, there's two warring factions of the Fae. Her family, her kingdom, is going to make an alliance with the humans and marry her off to the human prince because the other Fae, like these blood Fae, are basically about to annihilate them all. So they need help and they decide to turn to the humans. There is no really explanation of like what the powers are. Like what is Opal's kingdom power? Like what kind of Fae are they? What are their powers? What are they known for? The rival faction, those Fae, what are they known for? We don't know. It's not really established very well. We don't even know what they're warring over. So Opal decides to go to this like oracle to get her destiny or whatever. She goes to the oracle and the oracle is like, hey, sorry, someone else got your destiny. I can't tell you a thing. Like, what is that about? So like she knows nothing? Can somebody just like go and be like, hey, I want to know so-and-so's future, and now they know your future but you're not allowed to know anymore? It's weird. It was such a weird scene. I'm like, what is the purpose of this? I don't know if this will be slight spoilers because it's very much tied up into like the fairy tales that this book is inspired by. So you can see them coming, so it doesn't feel like a spoiler, but I feel like I need to get technical about it. So like I said, we don't know the powers of Opal's type of Fae. But we do know that something's not wrong with Opal, but her parents don't want her to show like the human prince some of her abilities because they're afraid that it's going to scare the human prince away. She often runs to the woods. She just gets like overwhelmed and she's like, I'm going to run to the woods. Even though that there's like a war going on, she feels completely safe going into the woods. She has like this hollowed out huge trunk of a tree that she goes into. But she meets this guy named Fang, who's apparently a soldier for the other Fae. She's almost immediately comfortable in his presence, does not feel in danger, and almost forms a friendship right away. She's totally comfortable letting him teach her swordplay. It just kind of came out of nowhere. And I'm just like, you don't even know this guy. I already knew something was fishy with this. I was like, he's not who he says he is. So Opal, TSTL character. We do find out that Opal can turn into a swan, which is where the Swan Princess thing comes in. And she witnesses her father being murdered as he's escorting the human prince back to their realm. And like, this is all in the beginning. I didn't really read that far into this book. This is all happening in the beginning. And so the rival Fae, who apparently turned into winged wolves, attack her father, and she witnesses his brutal death by the hand of the hero, who is Fang, who's not really Fang because he's the king. His real name is like Dade or something like that. Yeah, so she witnesses Dade tear her father's heart out and bite into it. This is our hero and the heroine right now. And I'm just like, what? So she immediately is just like, I have to marry the human prince. We need this alliance. I'm like, what is the human prince gonna do? Earlier, before the prince left, he had like a tear in his cloak and Opal offered to repair it. So she sews it up, and whenever she's giving it back to the prince, he's like, this thread is gold. And she's like, oh no, I can't believe it's not gold. Don't look at that. Opal's like, he's not gonna want to marry me anymore. I'm gonna be too weird. And like, he already knew you were Fae and you had abilities. And of all the abilities, turning thread into gold is a very good ability to have, because you're like a money-making machine for them. I don't understand why she thought that this was a negative thing. I don't understand why her parents thought this was a negative thing. It was like something to be hidden. Like, oh my God, don't let people know that you can turn stuff into gold. And it wasn't because they were like afraid that people would take advantage of her. None of that was really explained why her parents reacted that way. They didn't explain it to her. Like, she just felt very in the dark about everything. So we as readers were very in the dark about everything. So she goes to marry the human prince and they basically imprison her in a tower. Like I said, this girl can turn into a freaking swan, okay? And you might be thinking, oh, well, there's like bars on the window. She probably can't get through or whatever. Well, she gets a visit from Fang, and he has no problem getting into her room through the window. His wolfy winged form gets in. She can leave anytime she wants. She does not have to be in prison. She does not have to spin thread into gold at all. She chooses to be here, and she really doesn't seem that upset about her dad's death. She just like tells Fang like, oh no, you're bad, you killed my dad, but like is okay with accepting his help. He's like there to help her because apparently she can't concentrate, so she's not really turning the thread into gold, but as soon as he touches her, it's like, oh, gold just like shoots out from her. And I'm just like, what is this? What is happening? It's so weird. The whole point of the human alliance is so that they can buy soldiers. Like, this is what the human prince's mother is saying. Like, you need to spend us gold because we are funding an army. We have to have money to pay for soldiers to help you fight the bad Fae king. Don't you want to get revenge for your father? And I'm like, if that was the case, you don't need humans at all. You don't need this alliance. Spend the gold yourself and buy yourself a mercenary army. Problem solved. You don't have to be a prisoner. You don't have to marry this dude. So I did ask Crystal because Crystal got like 60% into the book and was like, hey, can you spoil it for me? And I didn't like what I was hearing. It just seemed very weird. I didn't love it, so I DNF'd this book. Next, I read The Taming of a Highlander by Elisa Braden. This is the second book in her Midnight in Scotland series, and it does have a connection with her Rescued from Ruin series, which I'm also just now starting to read. All of these books are on Anyplay. I did not know that the audio for these books were all on Anyplay. The heroine, Kate Huxley, is the younger sister of the hero from book 1 in this series. The hero is Broderick, and he is a scarred hero. There's a lot that went on in the first book that plays into Broderick's backstory, but Elisa Braden does recap a lot of it in this book, and we actually get to see the horrors that Broderick has suffered because he was imprisoned for the entire length of the first book. He is savaged, he is beastly, he has lost one of his eyes, he was brutalized in this prison, okay, and he was there for like almost a year, like at least 8 months, I want to say. Time really passes in these books, but I kind of like, because sometimes like in historical romances the whole thing could happen like within 2 weeks or a month or whatever. Newer historical romances, not the old school ones, newer ones. Anyway, I digress. That's another conversation. So Broderick is a scarred hero and he wants his revenge. He needs to get revenge on the guy who kind of orchestrated him being framed for this like murder. So he's very like beastly in appearance, very gruff. And the heroine, Kate Huxley, comes to stay with her brother, and she's a dreamer. And at first, I didn't expect that this heroine was going to be paired with Broderick. I thought it was going to be somebody else. And I was a little bit wary of Kate as a character because she's such a daydreamer. She wants to be a playwright, and so she has this whole thing about Scotland being her muse, and she doesn't want to go back to London, and she wants to avoid the season, and she doesn't want to get married because she talks about like this brain sickness that her siblings have once they get married. They stop wanting to do things that they used to want to do, like their hobbies before kind of get pushed to the side, and now they're all moony and in love and mothers, and she's like, that's not going to happen to me, so I'm going to become a playwright. I definitely don't want to go to England, and I'm going to stay in Scotland. And she's a little bit, I don't know what to call her, not ditzy, she's just in her own world sometimes, and she's a little bit of a naive character, but not TSTL, just a little bit naive. She's not very worldly, so she's out daydreaming, thinking of how she can have Robert the Bruce fighting off a wolf or whatever, and she ends up in the forest not knowing exactly where she is, and she witnesses Broderick almost beating a man to death, and she is shocked because All of the Highlanders are huge compared to all the men that she's used to, and he looks extremely beastly, and he looks like he's a crazy person. He looks like he's in a rage. He's a murderer. She thinks she's witnessing this murder. Later, she finds out that this is Broderick, that this is her new sister-in-law's stepbrother. In their first meeting, like face to face, when Kate actually meets Broderick, of course she's like, oh my god, this dude, like I saw him beating a man to a pulp. He is a monster. He is scary. And so she was very timid. But they immediately start sparring, and you can see Kate rise to the occasion, get over her fear of him, and start being her amazing self. And it is just such a great romance because Broderick needs this type of heroine. Needs kind of like this dreamer who's a little bit more optimistic about the world in his life because his world is so freaking dark. This does turn into a marriage of convenience because there is this investigation going on and Broderick might be a suspect and stuff. So the way that it all unfolded, it's just very unique. I haven't read stories like this. The way that Elisa Braden writes, I find is very unique. The way that she chooses to tell her story, I feel very invested, but she allows the story room to breathe, to let it unfold as it will. And I just loved it. I loved it. I love this book so much. I gave it 5 stars, which was a surprise to me because like I said, when I started this book, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this heroine, but I did. It was great. I am extremely excited for the next book in the series. Hopefully it's going to come out sometime this year. There's no title or date. I'm so excited for this series. And like I said, I'm going to start reading Rescued by Ruin. All right, guys, that is it. That's it for my weekly wrap up. I really did enjoy a lot of the books that I picked up. Some of them didn't quite hit the spot, but it was still okay. I was excited to try some new authors and I wasn't in a book slump anymore, so it didn't matter. It didn't put me in another slump reading the books that didn't really like hit well with me. So I'm just very excited about everything that I'm going to pick up from here on out. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to get notified on any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, life's better with little HEA. Bye, guys.